Hi, welcome back to World Zakat Forum webinar series. This is me, Astika Rahmadani from Secretariat of World Zakat Forum. It is our privilege and honor to have you all today by watching the program from BAZNAS TV YouTube channel. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to you and appreciate you taking time of your busy schedules today to join us today. We are now ready to begin the World Zakat Forum webinar series on moderating social and income inequality during pandemic. Well, before we get started, I would like to introduce our professionals guest speakers today. The first panelist is Dr. Rahmatina Awaliah Kasri. She is the Director of Islamic Economics and Business Center, or PEBS, and Faculty of Economics and Business University of Indonesia. Previously, she was the Director of Islamic Economics and Undergraduate Program at the same institutions. And additionally, she serves as the Regional Head of Indonesian Association of Islamic Economists of Jakarta Province and member of Central Board of Islamic Economic Society. She also acts as an associate editor and at the International Journal of Islamic and Middle Eastern Finance and Management. Assalamualaikum, Doctor. How are you today?
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah, I'm good, Astika.
Thank you very much. Excellent. And we have other speakers today. Is His Excellency Ayman Mufleh as the Secretary General of Jordan Hashemite charity organizations. The organization itself is a multifunctional relief and humanitarian foundations under royal guidance, and it has managed to provide aid to people in need in more than 34 countries around the world. Assalamualaikum, His Excellency, how are you?
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah. Okay, now before we started these sessions, I will explain a little bit about how we run the program. We will discuss about the topic at first. After that, we will hear the panelists' perspective that they will be asked at Blazon stations. For those who wants to give the questions will be taken from YouTube chat box. So you may type the questions on the chat box below. I will select several questions during the on air. Is it clear, Doctor and His Excellency? Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes. The COVID-19 pandemic is far more than a health crisis. It is affecting societies and economies at their core. While the impact of the pandemic will vary from many countries, it will most likely increase poverty and inequalities at a global scale. I think it is important for global zakat organizations and institutions to have a role facing the COVID-19 outbreak and its impact to unemployment and also the poverty and for those who need more aid. So, His Excellency, in your opinion, what kind of program that you propose to facing this pandemic in order to alleviate poverty and make income equality among beneficiaries? You may have the floor.
Yeah. First of all, thank you for having me and to have the pleasure to discuss this topic, which is very important in our world and especially in the Muslims world. Regarding your question, as you know, the country is starting to act for the COVID-19 crisis unexpected with the short limited and short sources of that. The main focusing was the medical issue. So in addition of that, and because of the procedures from the government and from the Ministry of Health, and I think what I'm talking about in Jordan, it happened in around the world. So the main target was to minimize the casualty or the casualty of COVID-19 corona viruses. The when we stopped working, the public sector and the private sector, definitely you can stop it maybe for 10 to 20 days maximum. But if it's for a long time, it will affect the regular people, and especially the daily workers, that they can generate their income from daily work, and they can spend the money and spend whatever they can get for their families and for their the money that they want to spend it. So they are the most affected group. They were the daily workers in this crisis. Unfortunately, we call them the new property of has been appear on the surface, which is unexpected group of people that they have to give them all the assistance and aid with the coming minimum short 6 months. And after 6 months, maybe we can look at them and try to find if there is any opportunity to them to work. So these are the people, for example, in Jordan, it's more than 300,000 daily workers have been affected from the coronaviruses, and they need immediate help and assistance. In that sense, the government in Jordan start to work together with the private sector and the government, and decided to have a social protection team, which is Jordan Hashemite Charity Organization is part of it. And the government designated us to be responsible for the in-kind donation, such as food parcels and hygiene kit, because it's very important to provide the hygiene kit for these people and others, so they can have the hygiene to prevent any cases of corona. Alhamdulillah, also managed to open channels with international organization and local organization and Islamic organization. And bear in mind that COVID-19 started to affect the area end of March, which 2 months away from the Holy Ramadan, which is the Zakah process will start in Ramadan time. And that was a good message from our organization to others to encourage people to pay Zakah before time. And Prince Hassan of Jordan, he announced a letter approved from several high-level Muslims leaders to encourage people to pay Zakah before time and before Ramadan time. قال تعالى أن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وأقاموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة لهم أجرهم عند ربهم ولا خوف عليهم ولا هم يحزنون. هذه بالفعل this is what we should translate this ayah karima from the Holy Quran to fight the effect of the corona, and we should not stop in that. We should continue on doing our effort to help other people. I'll stop here and I will let the doctor maybe comment on what she would like to say.
So, well, Dr. Rahmatina, as an economist, I think it's your turn to explain what's happening now in economics perspective. So the floor is yours, Doctor.
Yeah, first of all, I would also like to say thank you to World Zakat Forum for inviting me to this event. I think this is an important event because this COVID-19 pandemic has created a devastating effect in our world today. More than 11 million people are affected. More than 500,000 victims die because of this crisis, this pandemic, and similar things also happen in Indonesia. As of today, I think the case has reached around 63,000 people infected from the disease, and more than 3,000 people are dead because of this pandemic COVID-19. Now, turn to your question, what happened to our economy? What happened in economic perspective? Now, this crisis is different from the previous crisis that we had before. The Great Depression in 1928, and then the global financial crisis, 2008, also the monetary crisis in 1998. At first, this crisis may look like a supply shock to the economy. So it started in China, which is a global supplier. This virus has created disruption in the global supply chain. And the impact is that the government across the world has introduced social policies, quarantine and social distancing across the world to decrease the labor supply and also to restrict people movement. Now, however, the demand effect materialized because of several factors. There is uncertainty about the progress of the disease because we know that for crisis like this, there needs to be a vaccine. And to find out the vaccine, it takes a lot of time. We know that for HIV, for example, it's been 30 years and there is no vaccine which is very satisfactory in its performance until now. So from supply crisis, the supply shocks, if you like, it becomes a demand shock. People has lost their purchasing power, they lost their income, some of them lost their income, so the economy become contracted. And this happens all around the world. I think the World Bank projected that the world economy will decrease substantially, even negative growth will be experienced. In Indonesia itself, the government has reported that the economic growth has decreased. The projection was 5%, now it became 2.97%, if I'm not mistaken. And this has created problems, not only health problems, but also social problems and economic problems. The government has estimated several impact to the macroeconomics. For example, it is estimated that the poverty rate, the number of poor people will increase between 1.16% to 3.78 million people. This is equivalent to poverty rate increase between 9.15% to 10.56%. Unemployment also increased between 3 to 5 million people. So the total unemployment in Indonesia could increase to 9 million people in August 2020. Now, so this crisis is different and the impact might be persistent, not only in the few months ahead, but could be in years ahead. And this is relate to your next questions about will the pandemic reduce inequality or make it worse? Now, I believe that people all around the world has experienced, has observed that poverty has increased because of this pandemic. And the reason is clear. Because people cannot go to work as they do usually, and because there are so many health problems, and in Indonesia itself, a lot of unemployment. So unemployment increase, and then poverty increase. And when we talk about inequality, at the moment there is no official statistic yet regarding inequality in Indonesia or also around the world after this pandemic. But I think that it will somehow increase the inequality in the world because people, usually poor people, they don't have much choices. They don't have, you can say, buffer if anything happened to them, which is something that happened today. So they will lose their job, and it will be difficult to find new jobs at this moment, especially for those who are relatively uneducated or unskilled worker. At the same time, people who are educated, who are in a good job, they can make adjustment in their working condition. For example, instead of working from the office, they can work from home. And in some sectors like IT and then pharmaceutical industries, actually they are having a good growth at the moment. So this, in effect, I believe will increase inequality around the world because the poorer become poorer, and the rich might be able to somehow maintain their income. So overall, it will increase the inequality. That's what I think.
Okay, thank you. It is very insightful perspective, Doctor. And back to His Excellency Ayman Mufleh as experienced global charity organizations, institutions, and as a member of World Zakat Forum organizations. What do you suggest to World Zakat Forum member countries to alleviate disparity and inequality during COVID-19?
First of all, let me add some an extra points regarding Dr. what she mentioned about the non-skilled worker. These people, this group of people, which is, I think it's a good number and majority, especially in the Muslims world, they work and they can manage their daily spending, but with the minimum money that they can get. But with the COVID and what's happening now, it's zero. They cannot get anything now. This group, we should look at them and give them some priority, because we cannot leave them by their own. We should arrange some programs and some assistance to them, either cash or in-kind donation for them, because if we don't take care of them, we are going to create a problems, in especially security problems, and the crime rate will be more than before, because anything will affect the family, their families, especially if you don't provide food or medicine. He will think, without thinking, he will do anything to provide this issue. So this is one message. The second message, I think it's time to look our local product. We should encourage and buy our local product to support the local factories and the local investments to encourage them, and maybe from that they can provide some assistance and some donation to the other people are needed in that. This is the most important points I want to raise it. Back to your question, I think now it's more important for the charity organization to work closely together, not in one area. I'm talking worldwide. That's why, alhamdulillah, we have a good connection with the several of local Indonesian organization, and they implement the programs in Jordan during COVID, the Corona, not only for the Jordanian, for the Syrian refugees and Palestinian refugees also. I will not name this organization because I want to encourage others to do that. And also bear in your mind that we are 1 month away for the Qurban.
Yes.
And we want to encourage people, the wealthy people, it's time to pay your duty for the poor people. And instead of having one Qurban, make 2 or 3, because other people are need this. Believe me, this is a right message now for the Muslim people to pay money and the Qurban to help and assist other people to provide food, which is the main important item for any family that they want to live.
Okay, thank you very much for the wonderful perspective. And talking about the lifestyle inequality during pandemic, coronavirus has imposed great changes on the way people live and work. Many knowledge workers are able to work remotely, like what I do now. So while those in lower skilled occupations such as retail and constructions have to choose between risking their health and losing their incomes. The pandemic has also created inequalities in safety and convenience, which tend to line up with disparities in income and wealth. And Dr. Rahmatina, how pandemic change lifestyle and how its impact to the economics.
Yeah, I think this pandemic has created a lot of changes, some good changes and hopefully permanent. So a number of studies has reported the changes of behavior of people. There are at least four changes that have happened in the society. First, I think people become more empathy, more religious. So we've seen that a lot of people has moved. They have helped their neighbors, those who are infected from the pandemic, be it the street workers, the drivers, online drivers, and many more. So this pandemic has I have to say, increase people empathy for people who are affected, especially those surrounding us, for medical workers, and also the victims, of course. And this is closely related to the second one, that is more religious. There was a study in the US conducted, I think it was in May 2020, that people feel they need God. They feel the need of religious more than before. So there is a strong feeling regarding the importance of religion and God. That's the second one. The third one is that people have changed the habit from direct communication, direct contact to the so-called virtual lifestyle, because now to adapt to the situation in order to prevent the spread of the disease, but at the same time doing the work or being productive, going to school and so on, people are using technologies. So school from home and then work from home, these are the trends at the moment. And the fourth one, people becomes more aware uh, regarding the basic needs. I mean, if previously a lot of people spend for, say, tertiary goods, but now they become clearer that the most important things are the basic needs. So the need for basic needs is increasing for food, for healthcare, for shelter, and so on. This is the priorities at the moment. And also, yeah, I think at least those are four behaviors that has changed during the pandemic. And your next question?
Oh, okay. I think uh, the question, the other question is for His Excellency because uh, we are getting close to the day of Kurban. We will celebrate the Kurban Day, and Muslim will celebrate it. And one of it is, I think, it is one of the most important festival in Islamic calendar, and as a symbol of Abraham's sacrifice to God. And His Excellency, in your humanity organizations, what have you prepared for it, especially uh, refugee and Syrians or in some other countries, conflict countries?
Yeah. Uh, as I mentioned, that it's almost 1 month from the Qurban festival or Eid al-Adha, and that's why we hopefully by tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, we're going to send to BAZNAS a program that to give the chance for the mudahi, if you want to make any udhiyah or any korban in Jordan for the Syrian or Palestinian or the people that been affected by corona virus. Last year we did, and alhamdulillah, we managed to secure a good amount of Qurban for that program. In addition, we also we have to take in our consideration the children, because it's a and we want to put the smile on their faces. So that's why we have a local initiative to provide new clothes for the children to celebrate the Eid Adha. And we're going to provide the clothes for free for every child, 2 pieces that he can choose in our charity bank loading. And the local market and the local private sector are donated for us a new clothes, summer clothes, especially because it's summertime, that we can offer to and provide it to the children and their families, that they can at least to go out from the situation and the miserable issue that surrounding us, and to have to send some messages and hope that everything will change to the better. Hopefully these are 2 programs are going to run in the Adha time and in the month time, and we're encouraging BAZNAS to promote this program and other partners, which is I don't think that they will doubt, they will do their efforts to do that, and to put some smiles, either to provide food or clothes for them.
That's very insight. Thank you for delivering your perspective, His Excellency. Now we have several. Now we have a few minutes before we end the sessions. We have around 30 minutes before we end the sessions. As I mentioned at the beginning, there will be ask and question sessions. I will take several questions from the audience. First, we have the first question. It belongs to Dr. Rahmatina. The question is, what would be the greatest challenge faced by Indonesian governments in managing inequality during the pandemic and post-COVID-19?
Greatest challenge in managing inequality, yeah?
Yes.
Should I answer it directly, or will you collect questions or what?
You may answer directly.
Yeah, greatest challenge in managing inequality during and after pandemic, yeah?
Yes, that is the questions.
Yeah, this is an interesting question, yeah? How the government, what is the greatest challenge in managing inequality during and after pandemic? First of all, I think managing inequality, or you can say reducing inequality, I think it's a better terminology, has been a great challenge for the Indonesian government even before the pandemic COVID-19. Although in the past few years, actually, if I'm not mistaken, the Gini index has decreased, but it is very slow. I think last September, our Gini ratio was 0.39, so only decreased slightly from 0.4. There has been some improvement. And this pandemic, I believe inequality will increase. And I think the greatest challenge for the government is to adjust their policies in a way that make inequality will not be increased during the pandemic. Now, in Indonesia, the government has actually issued several programs. So the government has reallocated the budget, and around 677 trillion rupiah has been allocated for programs to handle COVID-19s, which include programs in healthcare sector, and then also in for social protection around 200 trillion, and then incentive for business for small medium enterprises around 123 trillion, and then funding for corporation 44 trillion, and for the local government. Now, the social safety or social security is actually given the biggest amount of funds, 200 trillion. But as of today, I think it is the government find it not very easy. There are some problems in distributing the social funds to the society. Because of the location, because the number of people impacted, the targeting is one of the main issue here. So the government has to deal with it, trying to make sure that they are given the help for those who need it. And in this respect, I think actually Zakat institution can play an important role, because we know that Zakat is directed only for mustahiq. And the first two mustahiq are the poor and needy. So Zakat institution, they already have the database for the poor people. Now, this can be used for the government to help so that the government targeting can be more effective. Mistargeting would not happen. So that's the first challenge in targeting those who really needs the help. And the second challenge, I think, to make sure that people who are affected, those who lost their income, those who lost their job because of this crisis, could find the right job, or could find the right source of income in which they become independent. And in this respect, actually the government has issued the so-called Kartu Prakerja. So pre-work card, which is intended for those who lost their job because of the crisis, and then after getting some trainings, they could find a better source or something to live in as their livelihood. However, because of some problems, I think the program is postponed at the moment until the government find the right scheme to implement the program. And the other program that has been designed by the government is the support for healthcare services. So for healthcare workers, some incentive are given, but as far as I'm concerned, only small amount of this support is incentive has reached the intended people for some bureaucracies problem. So I think the government needs to fix this so that income inequality will not become increased during and after the pandemic. And in this respect, yeah, Zakat institution is actually expected to help more on the poor and needy people who are affected by the crisis. I think that's my answer for now.
Okay, and thank you for the answer, Dr. Rahmatina. Talking about the card pre-training, as just it is remind me of my essay. I've just written an essay about preferring card pre-training and casual work for beneficiaries, and during COVID pandemic. And I think, which in your opinion, which one is the best way to get fast cash during coronavirus pandemic? Is it cash for work or card pre-training program?
Yeah, the cash for work program. Yes. Yeah, I think both are have their benefits, advantages and disadvantages. The cash for work program is appropriate for those who have the skills, um, and it has been implemented by a number of zakat organization in Indonesia. So, for example, the ojek driver or the driver for online motorcycle in Indonesia, uh, they couldn't work as before because people are restricted to go to work. And in this respect, they actually have skill. They can work. They are healthy and they can work. And if they are given chance to participate in the Cash for Work program, it will become a good source of income for them. It will be very helpful so that they can live better during the pandemic time. So when we talk about the prakerja card or yeah, pre-working card, I think somehow the program is uh, you know intended for those who would like to have additional skills. However, they cannot get that at this moment. So they already have the skills to work, but because of the pandemic, they cannot work as they wanted. So at this time, they can use it to get some knowledge. For example, how to do online selling, how to do the online marketing. And after the short course, they are expected to find a place where they can use the skill so that they will not be severely impacted from the pandemic. So I think both have good and bad side, but for the short time, I I think I recommend to do the cash for work program because the impact to the people who are affected it is clearer. They can feel it right away. Uh, in addition to or compared to the prakerja card. And hopefully the government can do this kind of initiative more, not only in big cities, so that it will help the people to get some income and not really affected by the crisis.
Oh, thank you very much for your insightful answer. And then we have another questions uh, for you.
Mhm.
The question is, uh, it is it is found that zakat has no impact in reducing inequality in Indonesia from a macroeconomic perspective. In your view, Dr. Rahmatina, what should zakat management do in Indonesia to participate in mitigating inequality issue?
Did you say that there was no evidence?
Let me say it once more. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it is found that zakat has no impact in reducing inequality in
Mm.
Indonesia from macroeconomic perspective. And in your view, Dr. Rahmatina, what should zakat management do in Indonesia to participate in mitigating inequality issue?
Yeah, I think I quite disagree with the statement that zakat did not have any impact in reducing inequality in Indonesia. Although I know that macro studies, which is involving Indonesia-wide studies regarding the impact of zakat in reducing Gini index, is rarely found. But I have conducted several studies actually with my college and also some college in World Zakat Forum. And the studies have suggested that zakat has indeed contributed in reducing poverty and inequality in Indonesia. Me, myself, I have conducted studies. It was published in 2016. The studies was regarding the impact of zakat in reducing poverty and inequality in Greater Jakarta at that time. And we found that the number of poor people have decreased because of the support from zakat institution. We also found that the poverty gap index, and poverty severity index, which also reflect inequality in the society, it has decreased because of zakat institution. So I think I would be disagree if the person who asked say that zakat has no contribution in reducing income inequality in Indonesia. I think that will be my answer.
Can I comment on that?
Oh, for sure, His Excellency.
Yeah, definitely I agree with Dr. Rahmatina, what she said. There is an impact. Maybe sometimes you cannot measure that impact directly, but definitely zakah, there is an impact of that in each sectors, not only in economics, in social, in health, in education, and everything. And I'm a witness of what Indonesia, Zakat Institute of Indonesia do, and BAZNAS, even though, of several programs about the zakah. So I disagree with the one that he mentioned, that there is no impact of that. And I would like to add another point, that it's time now. I know it's the zakah related to the holy Ramadan, but you can pay you can spend your money in another way, not only zakah. You have sadaqah, you have waqf, you have several items that you can give the poor people under the name of the zakah or other methods of payment, because this time that we need that relation between the wealthy people and the poor people, and even he can do a cash for work. He can facilitate the facility to the poor people to work in agriculture. We should focus on agriculture. We could focus on the house works. You can do a lot of things while you're waiting, while you are in the house. You can cook, you can sell your cooking, you can do handcraft, you can sell it. As she mentioned, instead of using the motorcycles of transportation, you can use it in delivery by working with the neighborhood, and from there you can generate income. We have to think out of the box, and we have to work as a team, as a local community, and we can expand, because this is the time that we work as one person, and each one help other people in this crisis. In that way, believe me, we will fight the effect of the pandemic and the effect of the corona. And we can help the government, even though we cannot rely on the government to do everything. There is a limited sources for the government, but there is an open sky for the private sector and for the young people, male or females. They have the sky. The limit is the sky for them, and we can give them the tools. And this is the role of the Zakat Institute, to provide the tools for these people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, His Excellency. And there is one more question for you, His Excellency. The question is, in Jordan itself, what is the best explain to us the inequality? Is it due to the number of highly immigrants from countries in war, or there is also among Jordan people themselves occurs inequality?
Sorry, I didn't get that. Could you repeat it again?
Okay, I will repeat it once more. In Jordan itself, what is the best explain to us the inequality? Is it due to the number of highly immigrants from countries in war, or there is also among Jordan people themselves occurs inequality?
Yeah. Okay. You know that Jordan is hosting a good number of refugees. In Jordan, we have 52 nationality are carrying a refugee status. Of course, the majority are the Palestinian. We have 12 camps for the Palestinian. We have 3 camps for the Syrian, and we have another nationality are in Jordan. Jordan is open for everyone that wants safe and to live on it. Of course, there is an obligation for the international countries for these people to provide the right life and the good life for them. Unfortunately, we asked last year for assistance from the international community for $2.5 billion to assist us. Only 50% of that amount received. Does not mean that we stopped providing services for these, but definitely the quality of the service have been affected. Bear in your mind that our the Jordanian and the non-Jordanian are now, it's around 11 million people living in Jordan. I know it's the number, it's nothing between Jordan and Indonesia, but for us, it's a big number. And the economic conditions that we're facing around us and the war that happening in Syria, in Iraq, and the unstable situation in Palestine also, everything is affecting us. And the opportunity for work, it's not as before. So, and to be honest, the Syrian refugees, they are much more skilled than the Jordanian. That's why they have the opportunity to take the work opportunity instead of the Jordanian. Sometimes it makes some problems between both the Jordanian community and the refugees. But because of the situation, and we know that they cannot do anything, we can manage that the situation between both of them, it's now a little bit calm because everybody is now working to fight one enemy, which is the coronavirus. So that's why we have to provide equal opportunity for anyone that live in Jordan. In addition, as I mentioned, the government, she cannot provide everything for us. That's why the civil society, the private sector, the wealthy people, they should work and they will do their obligation in this situation. If they don't act in this situation, when they will act? This is the time that they can work and they can do their social impact and to help other people. And believe me, one day you will find that impact in the face of others, or at least you will find it in God, with God, which is this is important. So this is the time that everyone should work, not in Jordan, worldwide, regionally, locally. We should work together and to exchange experience. Maybe something would work in Indonesia. Maybe I will look at it in Jordan. I will do some, in a way, I change accordingly to the Jordanian aspect, and it will work. It will help me, and it will help me a lot instead of starting from zero. And the opposite also. Anything maybe in Jordan will provide the experience to Indonesian people and Indonesian youth. It will help them a lot, and they can start, instead of starting from zero, they can start from 20, 30, 50%, and they can, and we have a lot of success stories, by the way. If we go back since March till now, we have a lot of initiative and success stories happen in Jordan, and a lot of private sector and social and even the government and even the king visit them and encourage them and supporting them for this in this situation. This is the right message to support the initiative and the private initiative, and especially the youth. Because while you are staying at home, you're thinking twice and triple. You don't have anything looking while you are driving. You have to be careful of any accident or have. You are staying at home. You're drinking your coffee. You're connecting on the internet. All the facilities are there. Only give us your ideas, and believe me, there is someone will fund you and facilitate these ideas, and it will be a good impact for others.
Thank you for it is very insightful explanations. And regarding to the his excellent explanations from His Excellency, what is the greatest challenge faced by your organizations in managing a charity fund during COVID? Because as you mentioned before, that Jordan is the biggest host for a refugee.
You know, the biggest challenge is
Yes.
it's a lack of fund, to
Lack
be
of
honest.
Okay.
Yes, since there is no any a new opportunities regarding the private sectors, the international organization, even though, and they're starting to suffer that the donor are stopping to fund any programs in Jordan. So this had been affected in programs in regarding the refugees and the host community. That's why last week, the government of Jordan make an announcement to others, please assist us so we can assist others. And we ask for a pledge of amount of money that we can implement programs, especially as Dr. Rahmatina mentioned, everything now it's online, and it's not for free. There is a cost for that. I know at the beginning, for example, you were taking your books, your bags, and you're carrying it on, and you go to school. Now you have to provide a tab or a laptop to him, to the student, that he can communicate and study. This costs money. So we launch a program to provide a laptop for the refugees, instead of staying at home doing nothing, start problems with their brothers or sisters or neighbors. No, this is your iPad, this is your laptop. Communicate with the schools, look at what's happening around the world, and from there you give him the tools. Instead of give him the fish, teach him how to fish. This is our philosophy in this crisis.
Thank thank you very much for your wonderful perspective, His Excellency, Dr. Rahmatina. Well,
Can I add something related to that?
yes, is there something you want to say, Dr. Rahmatina?
Yes, because actually I also noticed the same challenges in Indonesia, Dr. Ayman, with the thing that happened in Jordan. You mentioned about the lack of fund, and some report in Indonesia also mentioned that because of the crisis, people who are previously become the muzaki, those who pay zakat, now they cannot pay zakat anymore because their income has decreased. Now they become mustahik, not muzaki anymore. So the number of mustahik has increased, while at the same time the number of muzaki has decreased. And this has caused the number of the amount of zakat collected in Indonesia during the crisis to decrease. However, at the same time, the other Islamic social finance, especially the sadaqah or infaq, has increased in number in Indonesia. For example, one of Islamic crowdfunding called kitabisa.com, they have raised also fund for reducing the impact of pandemic for the those who are affected. And they mentioned that the number of donors who has contributed to this cause has amounted 100,000. So by now it might reach around 1 million. So 1 million individuals, they contribute to help reducing the severity of those who are impacted. And in this sense, I agree with you that the government has to go hand in hand with the private sector, with the religious sectors, with Islamic social finance, with other philanthropic sector, because they cannot they cannot solve the problem alone. There should be a cooperation between government, the civil society, especially the Islamic social funds in reducing the severity of the crisis. And in that sense, collaboration is a must between sectors and also Islamic social finance. When we talk about zakat, if initially people only mostly pay zakat during Ramadan, now the pandemic is actually given it becomes a momentum for increasing people awareness, people's knowledge about zakat. That zakat is not something that has to be paid only during Ramadan. It has to be paid actually when we talk about zakat profession, income zakat. Actually, it should be paid after you receive the income from your job. So what I'm trying to say is that this is the time for zakat organization to increase people literacy, to educate people that this is zakat and your zakat could be used to help for people, those who are affected negatively from the crisis, that it will create impact to the society. And to do that, we cannot do that alone. There should be collaboration, government, private sector, and then also education institution. We have to go together. That's what I want to add.
Uh, Thank you very much, Dr. Rahmatina, for interesting perspective. It is very insightful. So I think, Alhamdulillah, we are getting close to the end of our time together. And before we end these sessions, I would like to inform you that Center of Strategic Studies of BAZNAS will be conducting the fourth international conference of zakat. There is a call of papers. The theme is Zakat Ready for Inclusive Development, and it is hosted by the Ministry of Religious Affairs and together with University of Erlangga, Trisakti University, and also Kyoto University. So for those who wants to submit the paper, you may submit before the 1st September in 2020. And you may contact the staff of Center of Strategic Business. And I think, Alhamdulillah, we are in an session for today's webinar. And I would like to say thank you so much for Dr. Rahmatina and for His Excellency Ayman Mufleh for informative and interesting perspective and very insightful. And also I would like to say thank you very much for the online audience at home who has participated in these sessions today. Hopefully, the webinar series today will be beneficial for everybody. Amin. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very